I'm Haley.
Hi, I'm LA.
And welcome back to us showcasing our love for Disney.
We have a new series for you.
Yeah. So we're going to start doing a story time with XOXODisneyGirls.
Today's story choice is
Tales from Under the Sea.
So we're going to be reading 2 stories from in this book because I believe there's several in there.
There are. And 1 poem.
Ooh.
We're going to start with a poem.
Cool.
Yeah.
And we're going to have our guests with us, Olaf and Sully.
Olaf and Sully. You might see our dog jump up every once in a while. Another guest there.
He'll try very hard to get up here.
He's actually just hiding right there right now.
Hi, buddy. Okay, but included in our story time with XOXODisneyGirls, we're going to have a special treat that we're going to be eating through the video. And if you like what we were having, we may or may not have a reel of us making it on our Instagram, which is
XOXODisneyGirls,
which will be linked below as per usual. So we really hope that you're going to enjoy our new Storytime series.
Yes.
Today's treat is homemade
cookie dough.
Edible cookie dough. So it's got heat treated flour and there's no eggs in here. So we don't have to bake it in order to eat it. So cheers.
Cheers. So good.
We're addicts for cookie dough.
We really are. Sully and I are gonna read the first thing for you, which is a poem. Well, once I get there. So this is called Ripples on the Water. I could probably get my ripples on the water. Ripples on the water, foam upon the sand. Salty water on your hair, seashells in your hand. Try to imagine now a world beyond the beach, where mermaids play with dolphins and schools of fishes teach. Come now and we'll visit the mermaid Ariel. About her friends and family, a few good tales we'll tell. So, ripples on the water.
Awesome. I know you can't see from there, but the little mermaid follows her heart. Beneath the sea, in the Sea King's royal concert hall, there was an important little crab who was anything but happy. Sebastian, the royal composer and conductor, had 6 of His Majesty's singing mermaid daughters on stage. There should have been 7. Adela, Alana, Andrina, Aquita, Aritza, and Atina were all practicing their voice lessons. But Ariel, the youngest of King Triton's daughters, was late again. Ah, Sebastian called out as Ariel rushed in. You're here at last. We began half an hour ago, young lady. Do, ra, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, sang Adela and Alana. Where were you, Daddy wants to know, Andrina and Aquita sang as a scale. Daddy was here? Ariel said nervously. Yes, answered Sebastian, and since he asked me, I could not hide from him the fact that his youngest daughter was late, and is always late for her singing lessons. Ariel gasped. You told him about all the other times? Sebastian rolled his eyes. My dear sweet little mermaid, I am a loyal servant and trusted friend of the king. I cannot lie to your father. He's the boss. He was here and you were not. And quite frankly, I do not know why you cannot be less tardy, more respectful. Poor Ariel looked as if she were about to cry. Oh, Sebastian, interrupted Arista, do you have to be so crabby? Aritza giggled, and soon all the sisters, even Ariel, were giggling out of control. Girls, young ladies, princesses, oh, why does this have to happen to me? Sebastian wailed. Ahem, a loud voice came from the back of the hall. Sebastian whirled around. Your Majesty, Sebastian cried and bowed real low. Ariel, said King Triton, it has come to my attention that you have been giving Sebastian here a hard time about these music lessons. This cannot continue. I know, said the Sea King more kindly, that this must be a difficult time for you. You are growing up so fast, but soon you will be 16. You can no longer just play the day away. I know how important music is, said Ariel, but sometimes I find myself wondering about what, my child? Said Triton gently. Well, said Ariel hesitantly, ever since I was a very little mermaid, I've guessed there is a place above the water where girls sing their songs. I've always wondered what it would feel like to be one of them. King Triton could hardly control himself. You are not like them, Ariel. They are humans. Fish-eating, barbaric humans. Ariel, tell me, does you being late have anything to do with this nonsense? Like Sebastian, Ariel could not bring herself to lie to the Sea King, so just hung her head. Ariel, whatever you may have heard about the humans and their world is nothing more than so many fairy tales. They are very dangerous to us. But Daddy, I know in my heart that all humans cannot be bad. When I swim up to the surface and see this clear blue sky and the fluffy white clouds. King Triton exploded. The surface? You go up to the surface? The Sea King was so enraged he could no longer trust himself to speak. Ariel, we will talk about this later, he said, and quickly left the concert hall. Ooh. There were tears in Ariel's eyes as he watched him go. She could not possibly rehearse now. She, too, swam out of the concert hall as quickly as she could. She went straight to a familiar spot marked by a huge boulder. Her best friend, Flounder, was waiting for her there. Let's go inside, said Ariel. She pushed aside the boulder just far enough to allow them to slide through the opening. On the other side of the big rock was a sunlit cavern throughout the opening. What? On the other side of the big rock was a sunlit cavern full of objects that Ariel had collected from sunken ships lying on the bottom of the sea. Everything that humans made or used was important to Ariel. My father is angry at me, said Ariel. He doesn't like me going to the surface, and he doesn't trust humans at all. He would be even more angry if he knew about all this, she said, pointing to her collection. But I have such a strong feeling he's wrong about humans, and someday, Flounder, I know I'm going to prove it.
That was a fantastic story.
Woo.
Ariel always being late. I mean, we can relate to that.
Yep.
So our next story is called Ursula's Revenge.
Ooh.
She is there.
You know what I want to see?
What?
An Ursula origin story. Come on, Disney.
Under the sea, there were ripples of excitement as the kingdom prepared to celebrate its biggest holiday. It was the anniversary of the day that King Triton had freed the kingdom from Ursula the Sea Witch. Good job, King Triton. Everyone eagerly awaited for the festivities that would mark this most special of days. Everyone, that is, except Ursula and her slimy eels, Flotsam and Jetsam. Flotsam and Jetsam leaned over the crystal ball. Hiss, they both said together. I'll win back that kingdom someday, and when I do, we'll just see how happy that they'll all be then. Ursula vowed. But in the meantime, I've got to find a way to really make this a day to remember. Ursula looked in the crystal ball. She saw extra guards posted around the kingdom. They must be waiting for me to try something, said Ursula. Disappoint them? I won't. Quickly, she flipped through her book of spells. She stopped and read one page carefully. That's it, she shrieked. Why send only one Ursula to ruin things if you can send 100? Ursula, old girl, you've still got it. Ursula rubbed her hands together gleefully and quickly began to mix a magic potion. Barnacle flakes, one squid tentacle, jellyfish venom, Ursula muttered as she dropped the ingredients into the pot. You good?
Yeah, I'm listening.
One shark tooth. Oh, that's a weird angle. One shark tooth, and that has to be just right. A dash of barracuda juice. Smoky clouds began to billow from the pot. Black bubbles rose and burst. Ursula chuckled. She dipped her ladle into the pot and gulped. Ooh, maybe a little bit longer than the last story. gulped the mixture down. When she began to chuckle again, black bubbles rose out of her mouth. Inside each one was a tiny Ursula. 100 little black bubbles in all came out of Ursula's mouth. 100 little Ursulas floated high above the seafloor. The bubbles rolled out of the cave and off towards the kingdom. "Hurry, my darlings," Ursula cried. "Your bubbles will open for only a few minutes. So you must be ready. You must already be in the kingdom, ready to pinch, pilfer, and do whatever you can to ruin this sappy celebration. I know you can do it. Make me proud." Ursula waved to the bubbles as they danced off, rising higher and higher in the water. 100 bubbles floated right past the palace guards, high above their heads. The guards were peering anxiously into the distance, on the lookout for one big Ursula. They never thought to turn their eyes upwards. Ursula's spell seemed to be working perfectly. The bubbles burst inside the kingdom, as planned. 100 tiny Ursulas giggled wickedly and set out to make as much mischief as they could in a hurry. But just as they spread out to rip down decorations, overturn tables of food, pull merpeople's hair, and do many other equally nasty things, the annual beauty contest was announced. Each little Ursula immediately decided to enter the pageant.
That was unexpected.
That was very unexpected. Back in her cave, Ursula watched through her crystal balls as her 100 little selves abandoned her plan. "No, you vain little fools!" she cried as she pulled her hair. Ursula leaned closer as the trumpet blast signaled the beginning of the event. One of King Triton's heralds swished forward, cleared his throat, and announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to present the most beautiful and talented creatures under the sea." One by one, the loveliest creatures in the kingdom came down the swimway. Each of Triton's daughters performed well and never looked more beautiful. The judges exchanged glances. It would be difficult to pick just one winner. Then, all of a sudden, 100 little Ursulas, each one jealous of the 99 others, came down the swimway.
Swimway. I love it.
Kicking and screaming at each other. They pulled each other's hair. They kicked sand. They called each other terrible names. All the mermaids and mermen crowded around as the fight raged on and on. No one knew what to do. Then a strange thing began to happen. Shiny black bubbles formed around each of the little Ursulas. They floated up past the castle, higher and higher. All the merpeople heard 100 angry shrieks. Then the miniature witches floated away. Ursula stopped looking into the crystal ball. She sat back and groaned. The 100 black bubbles bopped back into her cave. Ursula waited for them to vanish. But when the bubbles popped again, the little Ursulas inside did not disappoint. They kept on fighting. "I must have used too much barracuda juice," screamed the original Ursula. "What a day to remember this turned out to be after all." She shrieked and ran off to find her book of antidotes. The end. There's the bubbles of each Ursula.
Good old Ursula.
Yeah.
Up to no good.
And of course, there was a beauty pageant. Of course, all of them would want to enter.
Yeah.
Oh, Ursula, Ursula, Ursula.
She's so vain that she didn't even realize that would happen.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our story time with XOXODisneyGirls. And yes,
Yeah.
catch us next time in our new series for the next episode of what we're going to read.
Yeah.
So, thanks for watching.
XOXO Disney Girls.